So we are back with another Things That Changed My Life again, and looking at the title, and if anyone, has been with the channel for a bit of time, you know just how much I love this game, and that is DDR. So why do I love DDR, or where did my love for DDR come from? Let me start from point blank, the beginning. And I think this must have been when I was 5. So when I would come back from school, I did have a PlayStation 1, and the only game that I would really play on it was DDR Euromix and DDR Disney Mix. And then I remember getting a couple other DDR games like Party Collection, and I think it was called Fever. I just spend so much time on the PlayStation just switching between these discs, and there's not a lot of songs on DDR games, especially the older ones, but DDR was one of those games that made me really yearn for the arcade. I didn't really have that arcade experience that a lot of people older than me got to have, because when I was growing up, all the arcades were slowly starting to be like shifted out, or like just slowly went out of business. Like, quite frankly, I think the closest arcade to me is like an hour away, and that's by like train. And that's too much work for me to just go out and be like, I want to go to an arcade. Another thing as well is when you live in, I don't want to just say the UK, but this probably applies to Europe, the DDR machines that are available are not very different. And what I mean by that is that there are generally 4 specific ones that, if you do go to an arcade, is most likely the one that is there. And so, growing up, when I did see it, it was like, I already know all the songs on here. Well, that's not quite true. Some of these had 1 or 2 songs that weren't on the original PlayStation 1 release. And that is generally because Japanese and American releases of DDR games got more songs than the European ones did. Never made any sense to me when I found that out in like 2011 when I actually got the internet. I had to do a lot of sleuthing and researching, and it was just sad. In general, I would say that DDR really did influence my music taste a little bit, at least when it came to me knowing certain songs. Not so much, like, I got really into Eurobeat because of DDR, because naturally Eurobeat was a huge thing in Japan. It probably still is. And not to mention, there's a lot of DDR games. There's so many of these songs that are remixed, and they actually have quite a bit of history within Japan itself, and so I always find that really interesting. It was pretty sad that for a long time there wasn't a lot of DDR going around, and there wasn't, even like before in like the UK, there wasn't a whole lot of DDR going around past like 2004. If you really wanted to look for like a DDR game, you really had to look around and like really dig in to try and find what you could see, because we didn't get a lot of it. We didn't get Extreme, we didn't get the mixes, we didn't get all that. We got, well, first of all, DDR was called Dancing Stage. Damn near all of our versions were just called something else. So we had Fusion, which was essentially just DDR Strike, and then we had Disney Mix, which I think was generally the same, but we got less songs because happens all the time. A lot of what is iconic with DDR in America is not iconic over here because we just didn't have it. For a lot of people in North America, DDR Extreme was sort of the one that they remember. It was sort of like the big arcade classic. It was sort of like the big thing that they had. For us, you know, ours was technically a bootleg of DDR Third Mix, which is Dancing Stage Euro Mix. And when you compare the timelines to that, it's weird. And considering Japan just kept getting like different installments and iterations, and where it's to the point where it was looking so much better, I was feeling jealous. I was jealous. I won't deny. I did get Supernova 2 for the PlayStation 2. Even then, I started to realize that we have like half the unlockables as well. We have barely anything. And because of that, that really drew me to playing Stepmania. And Stepmania was a PC-based DDR game where you would download the songs. You could download themes for your client, so it looked a little different. But generally, there was a whole lot of freedom there to just do whatever. You could make your own songs, you could do all that. It was a lot of fun, and I spent years just sort of playing it and trying to sort of get as close to an arcade experience as I could. So I played Stepmania for a couple of years, many years actually. I still own Stepmania 5, which I think is the last Stepmania to come out, because there's a whole bunch of themes for those. Started playing Eterna as well, but I only started doing that recently because there was multiplayer functionality with that. On top of that, you'll probably notice if you go back on my channel far enough that a lot of my early content was just me taking my shitty little Samsung Galaxy Ace, propping it up somewhere, and then using it to record myself playing DDR. I'd record the screen. People that I know will look at my YouTube channel and then go back and then be like, this is what you used to do? And it's like, yes. I don't feel bad about it at all. And I'm not going to feel bad about it, because guess what? Guess where we are right now? We are here. And you are here listening. Well, you are probably not here listening to me talk about DDR, but this is where I am now. I really wish that DDR was still sort of the thing that it was back then, because it really was propped up to be not only just like a game for the kids, it was also, you know, much more of an exercise thing. We don't have a lot of games like that, especially when you started to look into how a lot of these games that did have attachments with things like Guitar Hero or Rock Band, in which there is a brilliant video on that. I will try to find, if I ever find it, I will put it in the link and move it around, but that is definitely something that you need to check out if you're interested in like attachments for some of these games. DDR ended up becoming a really expensive hobby if you wanted to go to the arcades to do it, and trying to get a mat, especially these days, is really expensive. And not to mention there's so many like faulty ones or ones that just don't last that long. And there's another video about that actually, which I will also link. There's like, the only community seems to be like online communities now, but even then it's like, it's so much of a niche now that there's almost no chance of, let's say if you're just speaking to someone who wasn't chronically online, the chance of them sort of knowing about DDR like that is very small. It kind of sucks that this is where a lot of rhythm game stuff, or things in general, have been relegated to on the internet, but that is just how the cookie crumbles. Not to mention, going back to the whole Stepmania thing, this is when I started to find out about newer editions of DDR, such as like X2, X3 versus Second Mix, it was like 20th anniversary or something, and then it was like A, then A20 and all that stuff. Currently, DDR has not really been on my radar lately, just because a lot of the new songs coming in haven't been all that crazy. I don't know, it feels like around X2, it was really cool and really hyped to really get into, seeing all like the arcade unlocks with like, oh my god, what was it called? Like Replicant Deignition, and having that whole thing. To end this all off, I would say definitely please go out and check some of the older editions music of DDR. As you've seen, I've done my first to third mix music tier list, and that is something that you could always go back and watch if you feel like you will disagree with me. That is okay. But yeah, I'm gonna end it on that. and I will see everyone hopefully some other time. I don't know. I've been working a little bit, so my schedule's been a little bit more messed up than it used to be, because I used to post on the Patreon on Monday and then release it on the Saturday. Now I'm just hoping to get weekly releases out, and trying to keep my singular patron happy. But yeah, there's more coming. Also, Worlds tomorrow, isn't that fun? Alright, I'm gonna go now for real. You've reached the end of the video and hopefully you liked it. If you didn't, tell me that you didn't in the comments, or just dislike it. I don't know, I don't care. If you want to support me, I have a Patreon that will be in the description below. And I think that's all. I will see you in the next video.